Investment Committee, and first thing on our agenda is to approve our minutes, and I'm going to call on our Vice Chairman, Paul Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I reviewed the minutes and found them more. Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. It was reported there were no requests for public comment, so we'll move to the investment report.
Thank you, sir. Welcome. Ted Beatty, the Rutherford County Trustee. Good evening. Our LGIP rate was 397. Our money market rate is 421. We did have some purchases and some CD bids, so we got on CD 381 for a year, and on an agency we got 390. So fairly good for where things are. I think rates may drop next week, but we've at least locked in a little bit. And it is tax collection time, just a reminder, through February. So,
Have a motion to approve. In a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beatty.
Thank you.
All right, next is the fund condition report. And before we let Michael speak, I just wanted to say welcome to Justin, his first night with us, so he may be a little nervous. So, Mr. Gooch, be nice to him. So, all right, thank you.
So, are you taking credit for those cookies? So I will say before Commissioner Gooch takes credit for it, my wife did make cookies. If you didn't get one, they're right there, as long as Commissioner Gooch does not eat them all. But moving on to the fund condition report, piggybacking on what the trustee said, on the first page of the revenue report, now we start reporting this every month. We've collected 9.75% of the tax roll as of the end of November. And as you can see, I have it dating back to tax year 2017, fiscal year 2018. So we're right in line with where we should be. So that is good news. I will also go ahead and comment on our investment income. We did budget anticipating that the Fed was going to make several rate cuts this fiscal year. So we are still fairly conservative and in line with estimates on our investment income. And additionally, all the revenue is in line with where we think it should be. The one thing that's a good news is our county side of sales tax has continued to stay up. It's up about 18% for the unincorporated areas, so that's good news. And as a reminder, a portion of that is because the state lowered their admin fee, but it's also showing good growth in our unincorporated areas, so that's some good news for us there. The other thing that I will comment on our fund condition report is our school facilities tax report that you see there. That is also up, but I want to make one caveat there. It's up because at this time last year, it was before our Private Act change, and so a lot of people paid early last year. So it is up, but it's artificially up compared to last year because of that low payment at this point last year. But other than that, we are right where we should be on both our revenue and our expenditures. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for the director?
Mr. Chairman, there was because it has a direct effect on fund balance and everything else, I think this is probably one context we could do it. We could do it in another context or have this discussion in another context. But one question I have is, and it came up in property management, is there a strategic plan that Michael, in his capacity as Director of Finance, and perhaps the mayor and some others have been working on, or that's been not just from a capital side, strategic plan from a capital side and from an operational side, that maybe we could distribute or have information about? And because we seem to be building quite a few projects, and a lot of them are under consideration. We're going to consider, the BOA this evening. We've already got some that have come online. We had some TIFs that we've agreed to, or the commission agreed to spend some money on. There's other projects like a jail and schools and everything else coming down the pike. And there was a discussion, and part of that discussion was, in property management was that there was a thought that the finance director and the mayor were working on the list and were aware of the information. And so I'm trying to get a sense, I guess the question is for Michael at this point, is there such a plan at this point, like a strategic capital plan that identifies all the projects and lists and, basically can serve as a basis? Because it looks to me like if we don't start prioritizing, we are headed towards an event a lot of us would like to avoid, in other words, a significant tax increase. So maybe I should ask the question and then we'll kind of go from there.
So I can touch on a couple of things you did ask, but I think the overarching question, right, that you asked was, is there a formal plan written down somewhere? The answer to that is no. Now, I want to follow that up with, that doesn't mean there's not a plan. Because I will say, I spent a lot of time looking at what our capital plan would be. I've also spent a lot of time with the mayor's office. That'd be both the mayor, Eric, looking at stuff like that. So we have a plan, but it is very broad. In a sense of when we look at projects coming down the pipe, whether that was, and it all started back kind of with some of the projects we've already borrowed for or funded. And so we do have a plan that looks out 5, 10, maybe 15 years for sure. That answer is for sure it's there. I think for us to get a formal plan, I think was what you're asking, we're going to need some more information.
For example?
I think while we have a plan, I think one of the things I think the school board does that's good is they pass a formal capital plan. I think at their, I don't know if they'll do that yearly or once a year, something like that. I think if you wanted a written plan, I think, you could pass a capital plan or give some direction to me or the mayor's office, and we could provide you with a formal funding plan, I guess you could say, a capital improvement plan. But I would need some priority from this body, Property Management Committee, Commission, to prioritize those so that I could give you, of course, I have a priority, the mayor's office has a priority, we have ways to do those things without tax increases on our end, but there's also the unknown if there's another committee that adds a project, if that helps. But ultimately, I would need some direction, a prioritized list, and then I could write a formal plan.
So at this point, do you have a list of kind of all the projects that are under consideration?
I do not have that.
Okay.
Not everything. We would have to combine it. I think the mayor's office has a list of county projects. The schools has theirs. I think have y'all passed, I'm kind of looking at, have y'all passed your updated 5-year plan? So I think the schools is fixing to pass it next month or this month in December. And so keep in mind, we would roll those two together. I think that's something that could potentially be presented at property management. And then if that committee wanted to vote on a prioritized list, then I could, me and the mayor's office could provide a funding plan.
Okay, so just to be clear in my mind, you need a prioritized list so that we can, I know there are plans for the jail. I've heard that there are some plans kind of in the works to deal with the jail. I've not heard a plan to deal with the schools. I've heard of plans to deal with some of the other projects that we've been approving, but I'm a little concerned that maybe not everything has been included and that we're getting a little ahead of our skis, not just on the capital side, but on the operational side. Because from my back of the envelope calculation, we've spent last year's growth, we've pretty close to spending this year's growth. We've got about $100 million, I think I recall from a prior meeting, of capacity. Okay, we've got some fund balance we've dipped into already, and that is a fairly limited number. Okay, that's like $100 million in debt capacity, give or take. And if you go above that, what are you looking at? Well, basically, you're looking at a tax increase. And I think we need to be sorting out, in my mind, maybe it's property management, maybe it's this committee, the chairman can sort that out maybe, in terms of a list, a prioritized list, so that we know what we're headed towards. And that's the point I wanted to make. It would be great if, Michael, if you just need that list, and what else do you need, if anything, to put together that, working with the schools, working with other folks?
I think the schools could potentially present theirs after it's approved with their board, present their 5-year plan. in January to us. The property management in January could kind of approve a tentative list that they would like us to look at funding, and I could put that together and give a report back to you on options.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Are there any other questions for our director? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report. I have a motion and a second to approve the report. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item 5, risk management.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Welcome, Justin. So Ed Elam, Insurance and Risk Management Director. 264 fund for the month of November. You have revenue $1,876,031. Expenditures $2,442,489. Revenue less expenditures, a negative $566,458. Total for the calendar year, you have revenue $22,282,792. Expenditures $27,212,993. Revenue less expenditures, negative $4,930,201. For the fiscal year, you have revenue at $9,848,012. Expenditures, $13,159,476. Revenue less expenditures, $3,311,464. In the 266 fund, for the month of November, workers' comp, $2,212.95. OJI, $64,459. For the total of the month of November, $66,671.95. Your year-to-date totals, workers' comp, $128,967.97. OJI, $488,184.11. And the total, the year-to-date total is $617,152.08. For the county attorney, for the month of November, you have $36,146.51. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Any questions for Director Elam? You recognize Chairman Harris.
Ed, this is just a question for information for me. When, on our health insurance, when does that come up again for renewal?
We will start the RFP process. Actually, we've started putting things together, but it will be, this should be coming to the committee May or June.
Okay, so based on everything that I'm seeing as far as the market as well, we probably going to have a really big increase.
Yes, yes. And well, there are some things, but year to year, health insurance, and this year and last year, it seems to be there are some new drugs, pharmacy drugs. There are some cancer treatment drugs that are coming on that are very expensive. And just to give you a little bit of insight, and I brought this just in case the question was asked. In 2023, we had 5 claims that were over $150,000. That totaled, and this was just for the 3 quarters, first 3 quarters, $1,357,374. This year, in the first 3 quarters, we have 19 claims over $150,000, and it totals $4,737,445. So the question to that is why? We've done quite a bit of calls to figure out, especially with Cigna and with our broker, and like, why is this occurring? Why are we seeing this huge increase that we're seeing? Statistics are showing that, one, deferred preventive care for COVID. And what happened was when there was COVID, people didn't do their preventive care, they didn't get their physicals. Well, they not only missed that year, but they've gotten out of the habit of doing it. And so we anticipated after COVID that we would see a little bit of a bump. We didn't see it the first year out. We're seeing it this year. And I think that's one of the reasons in the statistic I just showed you, the difference in 2023 and 2025 is that preventive care was not done. And so things aren't being caught as quickly as they should have been caught. And certain diagnoses, because people got out of the preventive care. Inflation is one of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years. People, I do know some of your carriers have built in a little bit of tariff because they didn't know what the tariff was going to be. So when they're signing contracts, they didn't figure out, where it was going to land. So there's some of that in there. I mentioned to you the rising drug costs. Some new drugs that are coming out are extremely expensive, but they're also doing it, treating, I'll give you an example of cancer. There's different ways. We're seeing some new things come out on how we treat cancer. And then there's some mental health costs that have increased. And so the combination of all of that, in a meeting that I was in, there was a broker was telling me that they had ours is a self-insured plan, but a broker was telling me that they had a fully insured plan and they had to go to one of their clients and tell them that it was going to be an 80% increase.
Yeah, because Cigna's saying it's going to be around 50 to 80%. And so the reason I'm asking you that is that's a substantial amount that's going to hit us next year.
Yeah.
Going with what Commissioner Irvin says, that's something that could be, $3 to $4 million?
Well, 80% for us would be 80% of, like 27 million. But we're not anywhere close to that. We're not going to see that.
Okay. Well, I know we do with
Because
Cigna. They made that press release. I mean, that's kind of like why I'm asking you this question.
Yes, and also, as what we're seeing is when you renew contracts are for 3 and 4 and 5 years. I'm talking about with providers. So they're locked into those contracts, but as each year a contract renews, they're bumping their costs up, but not everybody, like inflation. It would not all kick in 1 year because of the renewal of the contracts. That Cigna or whoever we have, they all have contracts with providers. And so you don't get hit with it all in 1 year.
But it will be a hit.
It will. We've got inflation. I mean, and inflation's happened for the last couple of years. And then, like I said, pharmacy, we've seen a big increase in pharmacy. But some of the drugs, they're expensive, but they're more effective. So in the long run, you would hope that they would have, over a longer period of time, initially you may have a high expense, but as far as the treatment, 3, 4, 5, 8 years down the road, you would hope that because it's more effective, it would be better.
Any other questions for Director Elam?
I'm curious if there's any other, that's an excellent point. What I'm trying to figure out is, are there any other insurance-related expenditures that, based on economic events, that you anticipate that could be increasing as well, or potentially decreasing? Do you see any other changes in that landscape?
So, try not to be political. When you see executive orders, ACA that came out, and it swung a certain direction, and then you see another party come in and other executive orders, and it swings a different direction, and then they go back to the original. So, you're going back and forth, and you're trying to predict over a 16-year period, you're trying to predict these changes and how you build it in. And again, not to be political, but just recently, a lot of people have heard about Trump RX. coming out. And so, we're scrounging around, we don't have any paperwork, but we're trying to figure out how's that going to affect us. And the other thing you have to realize is that when we set rates for that calendar year, we set those rates about May. And they don't go into effect till the following January. So whatever changes we make, if we don't hit it just right, if we missed it a little bit, then those rates will follow into that next year. And, if you keep in mind, like 2 years ago, I think there was a $3 million surplus. This year, we're looking at somewhere about a $5 million shortfall. So when you average that out, it's not all just at one time. I think last year we were maybe $300,000 shortfall. So, it's very hard to predict exactly where you're going to land. You give it your best estimate and you look at your trend. But like when these new drugs come out, you get hit really hard if they're extremely effective and people are using them.
I was talking about, go ahead.
Mr. Johnson, you're recognized.
Yes, Mr. Elam,
Yes, sir.
considering your experience and everything, with all the ifs, ands, and buts out here, your opinion is that the program is actuarially sound. Is that right?
You talking about ours?
Yes.
Yes. We have some model projections and things like that to look at, but it's not things beyond our control and expenditures and costs. Everybody, the state, any other self-insured plan that you talk about, is that cost has to be absorbed somewhere. And I always am very conscious of the number one cause of bankruptcy is medical expenses. So the more you push off to the employee, the more you have, bankruptcy. And it just gets, especially, I try to be very conscious of entry-level people that come in and they start out and they don't have the income like others do. And so, you've got to develop your medical insurance to where it's affordable for those people and where you don't price those people out of medical care, because it's just as important for them to have it as it is for anybody else.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
Well, considering, like the old question, how high is up, we don't know what's out there ahead of us, but we're in good shape. Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the report. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ed.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Item 6, 120 East Main Street, BOA building, Bank of America building. And I'm not sure who's going to present for us, Michael.
I think Bart is coming up to do is, there's a PowerPoint that's on the screens. That PowerPoint is also on your iPads, the exact same one on the screens as Bart's coming up. So if you'd rather zoom in and look at it on your iPad, it's there. Also, while Bart is coming up, we were asked to put the assessment study report on your iPads. That is a little over 113 pages. It's the detailed report. It is also there. Bart does summarize it in his report, but it is also there if you would like to look at it.
Hello, Bart Klein with Klein Swinney Associates, here to present the presentation on the BOA building. So this presentation was given at Property Management, and we're here today to discuss it. But this presentation is an overview of basically a bunch of studies that have been done by a lot more people smarter than me, and I've synthesized this report to pull out and let you know what we have found. And so really tasked with looking at the building, much like a home inspection, what's wrong with the building, what are you going to have to fix with the building, how could the building be used to facilitate the needs of the county in the long term. And then we did some programming and planning with the different departments that may be housed in this building if this county commission deems they're going over there, and then what a cost comparison would look like with buying and renovating this structure to a point to where it's in line with building a new structure. The numbers you see here today were from American Constructors, and the same group that assisted on all the public health and safety buildings. As you know, you've seen money come back at each one of those projects, so the numbers you see are inflated, so we're going to be very careful in our numbers. We anticipate them to be less, but we wouldn't tell you that moving forward. So first, the studies that have been done. I'm going to go over kind of a brief intro on what these are, and if you want me to stop, just tell me. The Alter survey, that is a survey of the property that basically states what is there, what's the structure, what's the improvements. It is what you are buying in the buy of the BOA building. There was a roof inspection completed by Pinnacle Roofers, also about Bob Warren. The roof is a 60 mil EPDM. It's in good shape. It has another 10 years left on the warranty. There is some perimeter fixes that have to take place, but overall in good shape. There was a lead-based paint survey completed. The hollow metal frames on the doors has lead-based paint. You typically just paint over that. No big issue there. Mold and moisture inspection. We found mold on the insulation on plumbing pipes, much like you would see on your hot water heater in the basement. That is very typical of what you would see in a building that was built in 1978. Asbestos study. Small bit of asbestos in that same insulation around the pipe, so it's just pulled. This building's been renovated over and over the years, so they've actually kind of got all that stuff out of there over time. A phase 1 environmental report. So a phase 1 is where they go in and look, what has the property been for its life? Was it ever a gas station? Was it ever a dry cleaners? It didn't warrant a phase 2, so it passed the phase 1. That's important for government structures. As-built drawings. So we have the copies of the original blueprints that were done from 1978. Obviously, that building has undergone many tenant renovations over the years. My team went out and did as-builts where they actually do a LiDAR scan of the building and create a drawing or a model that says this is where all the walls are and everything is, to give us an up-to-date picture of what the building is today. Building assessment report. There's a 300-page report, so if you want some good sleep, medicine, I guess, you can read that, but it basically goes from everything down to the building envelope, building systems, roofing, foundation, structure. We've pulled out some items in that report to kind of talk about what's in there. Bob Warren did that report. It's very thorough. Feasibility study and programming. So KSA, we have been working with all the departments on what the needs are. So since we've worked with you guys for such a long time, we were able to update those programs to identify what different departments' needs are and could this building accommodate that. High-level cost analysis, again, so when we look at the cost of the project, it is, what is it? We want to compare apples to apples, so we have to price taking all the stuff out and get it up to a new cost. So we're looking at, if we renovate this building, it's got to last another 50 years. It's got to be comparable to a building of its type. Any questions about any of these before we continue? Yes, Commissioner Piercy.
As the building stands today, what percentage life is left in the structure that is there now?
Yes, so that's actually a great question. So the structure is a very robust concrete structure, and concrete actually gets stronger the older it gets. So here you have a concrete structure that has actually got columns bedded into bedrock. So there, you would not, if you were to build an office building today, the way it's built, because it's column and load-bearing exterior walls, it's the right type, but most people wouldn't pay the money to build that same structure today because it's too expensive to build. So your structure is solid. It's the other stuff that's problematic.
Such as what?
I'm going to go through all that.
Does the other stuff not build into what the question I asked you? The
No.
life of the building?
It is, but you asked about the structure, so I'm going to go through everything from the envelope to the mechanical, plumbing, electrical systems, and you're going to get all that information of that stuff that needs to be replaced.
Thank you.
So first, I'm going to start with the site investigation. And so in this presentation, we hit site, we hit building envelope, then we hit building systems, and then we're going to hit the other stuff. So it should unfold to give you all your answers at the end. So the site is 1.25 acres. Many of you know where this is. It is bound by East Main Street and South Spring Street. The site has the structures to the left, which face the square. It's been here for quite some time. There's 60 on-site parking spaces and 24 on-street parking spaces adjacent to the building. That yellow line right there identifies egress. That alleyway has been used the life of the project to access the back of the buildings that face the square and the site. But then the bottom right-hand corner in blue, that is not part of the property. That is actually owned by the adjacent church. The parking lot will need to be restriped to accommodate more parking spaces. And then in green, you see where it's pointed, that's a bank teller line. We would actually say if this building was utilized for office, that be utilized as employee parking area of some sort. The site, as I said, was 1.25 acres. The building, the first floor is 12,121 square feet. The second and third floor are both 8,481 square feet. It's a 29,000 square foot building. If you ever had to do an addition on this building in the future, we would recommend a 2-story addition in green. That would give you about 20,000 square feet, but maintain your parking below. Very much similar to your city hall, a podium type structure, how that is designed. So if you were to repurpose the site, then we would recommend the area in red would probably become enclosed parking for employees, and then allow the public to park in the remaining area and keep the other area open for egress and access. As it comes to site investigation and maintenance, overall, the asphalt's at the end of its life. It needs to be remilled, it needs to be overlaid and restriped. There's no site lighting, so either you're going to do pole-mounted lights or you're going to put lighting on the building to light the building. And then under the porch, if you walk on the porch, there's one portion of concrete that's fallen, and it's about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch difference from another portion of concrete. So it's anticipated to use structural foam underneath it to raise it, and that would get away from an ADA or a liability from a trip. Very minor in that regard. So we're moving into building envelope. The exterior of the building, there are this was a thing in the 70s, these concrete 4x8 panels. It's actually a rock board that's adhered together. It's attached to the building, and there's joints on this. So over the time of the project, they're supposed to maintain those joints and recaulk them. And if they're not recaulked, what's happened is, as you can see in these bottom pictures, the water has gotten into those areas, gotten to the hardware of that screw and rusted out, and these panels have fallen off. These panels weigh about 200 pounds apiece. They need to come off completely around the entire building. We would recommend either a brick veneer, a metal panel, or glass. So that entire skin is not any good. The roof, as we talked about, the overall roof on the high roof is in really good shape. The low roof, we would recommend actually replacing. It's the 60 mil EPDM roof. It's got 10 years left on the roof, but there's areas like this, the picture closest to the text with the arrow, that's at the coping cap. We would recommend replacing that coping cap and then some of the perimeter stuff. And it's very typical of any roof of 20 years, you're gonna see this type of wear and tear. We had 2 roofing groups look at it. The roofers did a great job on the installation. The building envelope. So the exterior skin of the building is a metal stud wall with batt insulation, which is an R13. Since we're going to be recommending replacing the rock panels on the exterior of the building because they're shot and need to be replaced, we would then go back in and update your R value on your exterior wall to get you to a higher R value for long-term energy use. What we would actually recommend is a fluid-applied vapor barrier that is actually sprayed on the outside of the building, and that would go on before your rock panels went up. And then on the roof, it's about a R19 value underneath your roofing membrane. So in 10 years, when you replace that roof, you would go ahead and upgrade the insulation factor to an R30. And that gets you in today's realm of what we would design as an economical, not an energy hog building.
Could I ask a quick question? The side panels, do they have to be replaced? Do they have to be replaced in now, 5 years, 10 years?
They need to be replaced because this is a government building and there's people out there that they predator on government buildings. If something was to happen and someone was to get hurt, the liability there, we would strongly recommend you take care of it day one.
And you have it broken down in terms of for each item, how much it costs.
I can get that. I have that information. It's not in this presentation from American. I have all that information. So if you guys decide to go forward we can talk specifically about each one of those items. I have a full breakdown from mechanical to electrical to glazing to all that stuff. So we can get into that.
Okay, so this is something that has to be done
Yes.
if we purchase it.
Yes. It is. Again, when we look at you buying a building, and we've been part of this conversation of administrative building for quite some time. And so kind of like the Goldstein building, if you're looking to purchase a building and you're asking us our professional opinion, we're going to look at it through the eyes of this is a civic building for a civic client that's got to last 50 years, and you need something that you can stand behind. So, and that's how we're going to look at it. So we're recommending, I would say everything we recommend, all the numbers is, we're not thinking about how much money you have, we're thinking about what needs to happen to the building to give you a new building, because we're trying to compare that again to what a new building is and what it would cost to build. The exterior storefront and glazing, the thermal scan was done. Overall, your storefront and glazing is in good shape. There are some glass units where the seal has busted, and that will have to be replaced, but overall it's in good shape. As we get to building systems, so first electrical. All the lighting inside the building has been converted to LED except for some cans, and those would need to be updated. But your electrical receptacles, all of that stuff, when you go in and build it out for a new need, you're going to arrange that space to be purpose-built for your use. You're going to be moving that stuff around anyways. So we went ahead and included on the safe side to replace all of that infrastructure. The switchgear on the building is old, and we included replacing that as well. And the lighting and egress, so you're going to have to modernize some of that stuff when you put the new uses in the building. The mechanical system, it needs a new boiler, needs new HVAC units. The distribution system, it has a copper pipe distribution system that takes water throughout the building. That's how it heats and cools. The engineers recommend replacement. We went ahead and put the number to replace. I feel that we probably won't need to replace all of it, but on the safe side, we put a number in there to replace it if needed. On the plumbing, all the, the hot water heater needs to be replaced. Overall, the fixtures, you would update them as well in the bathrooms. The lower level has undergone some renovations, but every bathroom within here, we went ahead and put money in there to replace all the fixtures. A building structure, so it's a great structure. It's a concrete column structure with exterior load-bearing walls, and the columns are actually bored into a big rock. There's a big rock under this building, so they took the column, went all the way down into bedrock and set it in bedrock, so it's not going anywhere. It is a bunker of a building. And at this era of design in the 70s, concrete was used heavily. The cost of concrete these days is a lot more. We typically would go to steel first. So from a structural standpoint, it's in really good shape, and it's something that, will last you forever. Future expansion, it was designed for an additional floor. However, when it was built in 1978, they did a lot of this stuff. You have a couple other buildings that you guys own that were designed for vertical expansion. What happens is the code changed the seismic requirements because of all the tornadoes and stuff we've had over the last 5 or 6 years. So I can't tell you until a seismic analysis gets done if it could really take another floor. I would suspect it can, but I can't definitively say that until a structural engineer does that. However, if an expansion was done, that first image you saw the site where it showed the blue square where we showed adding 20,000 square foot to the rear, we would actually recommend that you do a rear expansion opposed to a vertical expansion. Vertical expansions are very expensive. They disrupt everybody in the building, and we would definitely go horizontal because it's less costly before going vertical. So this ends the part about the building, systems, envelope, skin, all of that, and we're going to go into the feasibility study and the programming. So the existing building is 29,000 square feet. One thing that's really important about the building, if we were to go and build a new office building, the structural, not the type, so steel versus concrete is type, but the structural design of load-bearing columns and exterior load-bearing walls is what we would design. We would design it that way because office buildings change uses throughout their duration. You go and you renovate a portion of it. Since the load-bearing walls aren't inside, it will be able to undergo multiple renovations. So let's say you put finance in this building. Finance changes. It can easily put up walls and take down walls. So it's the type of structure you would actually build for an office building. But typically, we couldn't afford concrete. We'd actually build this in steel, but the same type of structure, like load-bearing columns, load-bearing exterior walls. There's very few load-bearing interior walls on this building, which makes it a little more economical to renovate in the future. This is a section of the building that shows the concrete structure. So because it is concrete, many of you have probably been into a steel building and you've looked up and you've seen steel trusses where they spray, it looks like insulation on it. That is called fireproofing. And whenever you have multiple floor buildings and you have different uses, the code requires that you fireproof those structural elements. When you're concrete like this, you already have it inherent to our fireproofing. So this would actually, over the life of the project, if this building, let's say 30 years from now, became living on the second and third floor and retail on the first floor, you already inherently have a 2-hour rating. You wouldn't have to go in there and fireproof it. So it gives you flexibility there as well. In relationship to where the building is located, it's a block off the square. We were asked to look at this for how the county would utilize this building. You know, you have county codes. Everybody's down here, all the businesses that do work with the county. So centralizing them one block off the square, we feel like that's a good use for this building. We feel like it's vital to the downtown to help the downtown stay active and support and revitalize the downtown core. ADA, so American with Disabilities Act, every bathroom in this building, there's 3 main bathrooms on each floor. They have to be retrofitted. On the first floor, just because the size of it, we would actually just increase the size of that to have more fixtures for men and women. On the second and third floor, we would actually just add and rearrange it to make it ADA accessible. So all the bathrooms need ADA work. Some of the doors are not the right width. Those would come out, but it's very minor ADA work. But it's what you would see of a building built in 1978 that has not undergone a full renovation. Programming and space planning. So in 2021, we were hired to program and plan the Goldstein building to basically renovate that for planning, codes, engineering, and elections. Many of you were part of that process. We took that through schematic design, had American constructors. You know, the cost to renovate the Goldstein, it ended up being $6 million. I think it ended up around $8 million. At the end of the day, the Goldstein building has some inherent issues in it, like floors on different levels. It's not open space. It wasn't designed to be office. So during that process, when we programmed it, we programmed it for 20 years in 2021. And the county said, hey, we don't want to move forward. So we took that information, we put it on the shelf. The mayor asked us to pick that information back up and update the programming. So what we did is codes, planning, engineering, elections, budget and finance, fire administration, fire marshal, and energy management. We updated their programs. So these programs, it doesn't matter where you go or this building, you just take this program and that tells you what their need is. It tells you what size building they need. It's not locked to the BOA building. It just says what you need if you were to build them a new building or look for another building. But it's a way for us to understand what the need is. And the programming looks at 20 years out. And so every one of the departments, we show growth. So for instance, the 13,000 square foot for city codes, planning, and engineering, they have seats for the next 20 years of putting people in there so they can grow. In short, the big thing that comes from it all, the total program need for all the departments is 28,716 square feet. The total BOA program is 29,083 square feet. And I know it looks that close. We didn't shoehorn this in there. If you look at the 21 program we did for you guys and you compare, you'll only see that we actually got bigger as the program need from 21 versus now, because those departments had added a couple different elements that they didn't have at that point. So in short, the conclusion is the BOA, if renovated, would fit the needs of all the departments. We would do not recommend that Chris Clark's department would go in there because they really need an emergency operations center. We think that should be added to your capital plan because that really is not something that needs to be in your downtown area. But if finance was to go, and we looked at finance, if it was to merge with, I think there's discussion of merging with schools, so we size it on that size as well. They all fit and they have growth for 20 years. And you wouldn't have to do an addition. So that's how the building would accommodate the future growth and need now. The cost analysis. So first, the first thing that you have to understand when we look at something like this, when a client wants to buy an old building versus build a new building and compare it, we have to get it on an apples to apples basis. So if I'm buying a new building, if I'm building a new building, I'm looking to build a 50-year-old building, same size, same type of structure in the same location. So the big variable in this is where the cost of dirt. So I got a number from John Harney, which we put a cost of dirt to it. We don't know if that cost of dirt is exactly, I'm not the one that can give advice on that, but it was based off of an acquaintance of his that is doing all the cost of dirt in downtown Lebanon, and I want to say it's about $50 a square foot. So knowing that we're trying to get everything to line up, apples to apples, we broke down, first this is new construction costs, so I'm going to go through each one. So first, building and site cost. So right now to build a 29,000 square foot civic building of a structure of this type, we're looking at roughly $15,268,000. So we are currently building a 150,000 square foot civic office building for the Department of Aging and Disabilities for the state of Tennessee in Donaldson. The numbers from that I pulled, it's about 4 months from being done. Those are where those numbers come from. This is a civic, 4-story masonry structure, very comparable. When I go back down below that, this is site acquisition. So to buy the dirt, if I'm building a new building, I got to buy the dirt. Well, the dirt cost in here at the $50 a square foot, that's $2.7 million is which we evaluate the dirt at. As I move down, you got to hire an architect and engineer to design that building. There's a fee of $760,000 to do that. As I move down to soft cost, survey, geotech, legal, testing, all those are costs that you spend to build a new building. As I go down below there, I got the cost to pay the contractor, his general condition and his insurance to build that building. That's $1.4 million. This comes straight from the contractors. And then I have the cost to put furniture in the building. That's $600,000. I got the cost for information technology. This comes straight from Wilkie's department as a plug of $1.2 million. And I got the design and construction and the site cost for contingency. So I got a contingency in there for so we don't go over of $1.5 million, which is basically 10% of the cost of building and site. So this is what we would say if you're going to go build this same size structure in a similar area of the same quality. If I look at the renovation cost, so now I'm going to compare it to a renovation. So first, the building and site cost I have a range of $5 to $5.8 million. The reason there's a range on that, on the first floor, when we were programming, there would be a desire to put planning, engineering, and codes and elections all on the first floor because they have public interface. But to do that, we would have to build out that porch on the first floor to accommodate everybody on the first floor and then put finance. So that gives that range to do that. You don't have to, but it would allow the public to not have to enter into the second and third floors, which there's a positive about that from a security standpoint. We can get into that later. Next is the building purchase. So the cost of the building at this time was 9.2. After the report, there's been a negotiation. The building cost is at $8 million, I believe right now. The architecture and engineering fee, the range of 380 to 480 based off the different cost of construction. The soft cost for legal testing and fees is $70,000. It's less than for a new building because there's less of it. The construction fees and general condition cost of insurance from the contractor, $760,000. The furniture, fixtures, and equipment, this is the same number as the new. The information and technology, the same number as the new. And then the design and construction contingency is the same percentage as the new. So in essence, really, if you're looking at if you want to settle, if you want to take care of the issue of the admin structure, the need for an admin facility, if you're buying a new facility versus renovating this facility, you're looking at roughly a $5 to $6 million difference in renovating versus building new. And I think that number is probably 5 to 7 with this anticipates a $9.2 million cost, so it's $1 million better in that regards. And one thing to note, so you asked a question about, what does it cost to replace the rock panel? So I have an itemized list. We actually have $4 million, $2.7 million in that $6 million number, which is replacement of all the MP&E systems. Do I think we're going to replace every single bit of it? No, but am I going to come to this body and tell you don't have to replace it and then replace it and have to come back and ask for more money? No, I'm not going to do that either. So that's really, that's the summary of the presentation. So you're looking at, $5 to $7 million difference if you were to stay here and renovate versus build new. Is there any questions? Yes.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't ask this before, but according to your $50 a square foot at 1.25 acres, that comes out to some quick math at 2.7 million approximately, plus or minus, for the dirt.
Yes.
Go back to your last slide if you don't mind, Bart. Now, is that 2.7 is on the new construction cost an estimated total of 23.6? Does that include the dirt? So in a comparative analysis, we've included the 2.7 for the dirt on the BOA renovation. Did you include the cost of the dirt for a similar size for a new construction?
Yes, it does. Yep, it includes. So the 23 point, and that is honestly, that really gets to the crux of it all. You guys are the ones that, I don't know, but you guys are the ones that can say, can you find a piece of property this close to the square that's of this size to house this for that number? That's the question.
Commissioner Piercy, you recognize.
Thank you. Does the building have a basement in it?
No, it does not.
No basement at all?
No. It's sitting on it. It's literally sitting on a big rock.
I could see that.
Yeah.
All three floors, are they all about the same? Is one floor worse shaped than, is one worse than two worse than three?
Well, on the first floor, they've actually renovated it completely on the left side as you enter, like facing the main side of it. But the second and third floor, they're in good shape. You could move in them the way they are. We would think you would renovate them for the need, but they're all in good shape. I mean, one person could say, well, I just want to move into the building the way it is and don't spend the money on renovating it. The walls are good, everything's good. with it, we would expect you need a renovation to accommodate the need. But your structure's good, your windows are good. Overall, the layout, it is a double-loaded corridor building, so as you come up the elevator, you got stair on one side and the other, you got a corridor in the center, and you access office on there, so it's a very simple layout, and it can be changed easily as well.
That was going to be one of my next questions, because I hadn't heard you mention if it had an elevator in it or not.
Yes.
Has the life of that been checked, or what it would cost to replace them completely?
It has, actually, the owners have spent roughly $200,000 or $300,000 renovating the elevators, and the elevators were checked recently, and they're actually been getting worked on. So one of them is being taken care of. I think the other one, we included money to basically upgrade it and modernize it, and I want to say the cost to modernize an elevator is roughly $89,000 a piece. And it's got 2 stairwells. So the report, American constructors, the guys that worked on have done the last 6 or 7 bigger projects for the county. They took all of the report information, they took the program information, and they based the numbers on having to accommodate all that stuff. So I have all that information broken down. I think the big thing is the way I look at it as a professional is if you're wanting to solve the issue of, the users needing more space, good space, are you going to do it now? Are you going to renovate it? Or are you going to build new? This seems to be fiscally a responsible versus building a new responsible decision.
You made the comment more than once about a 50-year-old building.
Yes.
Why would you not build a building to last more than 50 years?
Well, that is I guess, I say 50-year-old building. The truth of the matter is, you have schools that are probably date back to 1930. And so in our industry, we just call them 50-year buildings. For us, that is a lifelong building. The structure here, it's going to last way past my life, probably way past my kids' lives until somebody rips it down. So that's a form of expression.
Okay. Well, that would be one of my concerns is spending the taxpayers' money
Yes.
on something for just 50 years.
Yes.
It needs to well outlast the least child in this county.
And that's what we've priced. So that's actually an image showing modernizing that building. We've taken all the bad out, and what we put back is what we would put back in a civic building, right? So it's what we would put back with a building paid for by the taxpayers.
I'm not trying to take anything away from your presentation. I thought you'd done an excellent job.
Thank you.
But going back to the first question, I asked you the life of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Through the presentation, I was able to draw a conclusion about that. It looks like we're being asked to give $8 million for 1.2 acres of soil and a hull of the building, because everything else has to have attention, evidently. Is that not correct?
That is a true statement.
Thank
Yes. So you're buying the structure and the land.
Mr. Chairman?
You're recognized.
Thank you. Can you kind of go through some of the alternatives? Because one of the questions I keep being asked, why does it have to be downtown? Can we put something out, farther out and all that kind of stuff? And there was a discussion about this in property management. But can you just maybe go through that again? I think Michael might even want to weigh in terms of some of the functional pieces or things that were considered, or Eric.
Well, I will answer it first from an urban planning standpoint, then I'll let Michael answer it from a user standpoint. From an urban planning standpoint, there's 2 flip sides to the coin of last property managed discussion. When you take government out of your central core, you have to take it all out. If you were to take all the government out of the central core, you'd have a bunch of empty buildings, because all of a sudden when you take government out, there goes the lawyers, there goes the courts, there goes all of it. So when we look at urban infill, urban growth, having a portion of civic be a part of that, that's always going to be there, is always giving to that economy. And a good analogy is, when I became an architect, my dad said, if you want to eat as an architect your whole life, go do public work. Don't do private work, because you won't have Christmas some years. So the Civic is always going to be here. You're always going to be there. The taxpayers are putting you, so taking that out of your downtown core, you're taking that interaction, that people out. So from an urban planning standpoint, if you pull it out, you can't just pull a piece of it out because you're trying to fix an immediate need or immediate knee-jerk reaction. You need to pull the whole thing out and then deal with it, because that's the urban stance. I'll let Michael, and really I think some of your users talk about the user stance on why they want it here. I can't comment on that.
And some of my folks are interested in the cost of downtown versus the cost of.
Well, I could help there too. So on the real estate side, me and you've had a lot of conversations about TIFs, about downtown urban infill. So think about this. When Broad Street happens, or when One East College happens, or any project happens of downtown, what's going to happen to the property values of downtown? What's happened to your home property value in your neighborhood in the last 3 years? So you may be buying a property for $8 million now, but if Murfreesboro continues to grow, and now you're seeing the pressures of TIFs, now you're seeing urban infill, that property, go buy that same piece of property in downtown Franklin. It's not $2.7 million right now for that next to the square. It's in the $10 million next to the square. So if you're going to think about long-term growth, and you're going to have the conversation of, well, if I build it here, it's more expensive than building it outside, think about you're building for something you're going to have for a long time. So this asset you're going to have here is going to be worth way more in the future when our kids are here. So it's a good asset. Everyone wants to be downtown. Wayne, you like coming to downtown.
I'm not going to comment on that part. I wasn't in favor of TIFs.
I know you're not.
Just to be really clear.
Yeah, I know you're
There's some
not.
interesting studies now showing how property taxes, not just value, property taxes are rising in some of the places where the.
You're going to show me
TIFs
those.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Michael, if you can talk about the users, and I believe planning's here. I mean, they can tell you about, why they want to be downtown, and I think it's more important to hear from them.
Commissioner Piercy.
Thank you. We started at 9.2, and after the evaluation y'all made on the building, it's been dropped to 8. Is that correct?
That's correct. John Harney has been handling those negotiations, not Klein Sweeney Associates.
Well, it may not be a question for you. I'm going to ask it, and maybe we'll get a reply somewhere. Have we made a counter offer, or is that just the price?
I can't answer that.
So I can answer a piece of that. Also, the county attorney, Nick, is here. Nick has been in communication in conjunction with the mayor's office and John Harney. So that $8 million was after the negotiations back and forth. There was an offer. They made a counter offer. We made another one. The $1.2 million off was after several counter offers from both sides. After that was negotiated over about a day and a half period. I'm looking at Nick back there. He's confirming. So that was after counter offers from both sides.
So we have offered less
Yes.
than what they asked.
Yes.
Thank you.
I noticed Chairman McAdoo's here, and he's been following that. Mac, would you like to address the committee? Have anything to say on this?
I'll be brief, real brief, because Mr. Phillips is on that committee, Mr. Irvin is on that committee. And the only point I would like to bring up is that the location of this building is great. And if we look at anything else to buy or whatever, we need to do the same study that we did on this building, adding a traffic study. This building right here, we really don't need a traffic study per se. We all located in one spot. But if we go out Northfield or somewhere out from the square, we really will need to do a traffic study. And once we bring in a traffic study, that will change a lot of our minds. And another thing I would like to bring up, and the county attorney will probably bring it up also, we will have to go to the full Board of Commissioners December 11th to be voted on our 120-day plan. And so no matter what we do tonight, yay, nay, or whatnot, we will see it on the commission floor.
Thank you, Chairman McAdoo.
Could I ask one other quick question on operating?
Go ahead, Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you, thank you. Operating costs. What are the incremental operating costs of this new building?
So I would say since you're relocating existing, your operation costs stay the same. You already have that operating cost. In fact, I don't know what you're going to do with the Goldstein building. Your operating costs should go down if you decide to get rid of the Goldstein building, but because it's an older building. So if you remember, the Goldstein building needs a new roof right now. It needs mechanical right now. It's in dire needs, and if you've been up there, they are shoulder to shoulder, and it's an ADA and liability nightmare building, to be honest. And you should be very concerned about bringing the public in that building, to be honest. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen to all the attorneys back there. That's what it is. So your operation costs are no different because you're already operating with the same group and they're just relocating to a new building. So it should actually be better, because one thing that the state of Tennessee has done, they hired Deloitte to look at all their structures across the state to do centralized building. So we've been working on this project. It's about a $500 million project for the state, which takes all the law enforcement training and puts it on one site. So when you put all these different groups in one building, now you don't need 4 conference rooms. You can get by with less. You don't need 5 break rooms. You can get by with less. You don't need 3 janitor services at all these different structures. You can get by with 1. So really, when you centralize uses to one structure and they share, your operation costs will come down.
So recognizing this is probably part of the prioritization that needs to occur, the thinking would be that Goldstein would be sold, that operating cost would go away.
That's above my pay grade.
No, it's a very general question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, obviously. It's not a decision you would be super involved in. But the thinking would be we would sell Goldstein, offset the operating cost, maybe get an additional cash.
So one of the things that I talked with everybody about on this project, so that same project with the state, when they're looking to spend $500 million and they got all this stuff, they look at, well, if I'm centralizing, then I have all this other property, what do I do with it? And for them, those properties, or for you, all these different properties, they have needs. They may need a new roof in 10 years. They may want an expansion in 10 years. So you can look at it as, yes, you could sell those items. They have a value to help offset your cost. Or does that get used for other government services? So that's for you guys to figure out. But to be honest with the state, the reason they went with that big, $500 million project is because every one of those training, like Highway Patrol, Department of Corrections, they all wanted a firing range. At the end of the day, it was 4 firing ranges across the state, and each one of them was $50 million. But we can put them all in one, central to the state, and build it one time for $75 million. That same thinking applies to 20 conference rooms in 5 different buildings, right? We can put them in one, give them 4, put a schedule together, and we save. So there's economies that way that I think are beneficial to you.
I'm going to recognize Chairman Gooch, but I do want to mention Michael owes us an explanation on the user as far as the building there, and I'll yield to you, Chairman Gooch.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have one question, and then I do have a motion. If you'd go back to the slide before this, on the building and site cost, $5 to $5.8 million. Is that the actual renovation as far as the HVAC?
That's everything.
Everything. And then, but you'll have a breakdown?
I have a breakdown, yes.
Okay, could you get that to the mayor's office so that we can get that before the commission meeting?
Yes, and here's the one thing I want to talk about numbers. The minute we show numbers, so we're showing numbers at high level, y'all are going to hone into this number. And just remember, we haven't designed the building, so we're extra cautious in our numbers.
Understood.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, are you ready for a motion? Or do you have?
Let me let Michael do a quick explanation, and then we'll come right back to you.
So I think the question that you asked was kind of about, why do we want to be around the square? Why couldn't we move? I'm going to go a little bit back to what Bart said, which is we could move, but you got to move all of us. And I'll give you some very good reasons why, which is tonight, I met with 3 commissioners before the meeting tonight. And so if I was out in Christiana or Blackman, pick across town, I think that makes it really hard from a functional standpoint to come and meet with the finance team or the mayor's office or a joint meeting before meetings. But more importantly is we act as the depository for the county, and then in turn, the trustee's office is the depository for the finance office. And so all of the departments bring all the cash, including the school board, including building and codes, including planning and engineering. We turn then and take that and take it to the trustee's office. And in turn, also sending payroll wires that we run. This week's a payroll week. And so we had an issue today, and I walked right down the hall to solve that issue that nobody will ever know about, and everybody still got paid by Friday. But if that issue takes me 30 to 45 minutes to drive across town, that's going to be an issue as far as getting payroll wires out. So while I don't think finance necessarily has to be on the square, I do have to be near the other leadership of the county. Most importantly, the trustee's office is imperative. Also, we don't want to send wires through emails if we don't have to from a security standpoint. If I send a $60 million wire for our bond debt payments, I like to be able to physically go down there and do that so that it's not email and somebody's not spamming email. Just the other day, somebody spammed my email and sent it to another department head, and thankfully we caught it. But in those situations, we would prefer to be essentially located to the other departments so that we're not driving as much cash if we don't have to. But most importantly, things like tonight where we meet as a group, leadership meets, and it's just more efficient. I don't have to pay employees to drive. I don't know if that answers your question, but from an efficiency standpoint, both time and money is imperative that we stay close.
Thank you, Michael. Commissioner Gooch.
Well said, Michael. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a motion that came to us from property management, so I will just read it for the record. So motion for Rutherford County to amend the real estate purchase contract for the Bank of America property to increase the amount of earnest money deposit, non-refundable but applicable to the purchase price, for proceeding to the permitting period from $50,000 to $100,000, and increase the amount of earnest money deposit for exercising any of the 3 permitting period extension periods from $50,000 to $100,000, and to amend the purchase price to $8 million, and to elect proceeds to the building period, and to fund the additional earnest money deposit, non-refundable but applicable to the purchase price in the amount of $100,000, and authorize Klein Sweeney Associates LLC to proceed to the design phase of the project. This motion, if passed, shall be forwarded to the County Commission.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Quick question. Is this coming out of fund balance,
Which piece?
the renovation piece? The other piece?
Well, we had tonight.
The other's already coming out of fund balance, as I understand it, is the...
So I'm going to look at the motion again. Tonight, we're not actually voting on the renovation at all. As I understand the motion, what you're doing is amending the purchase price contract down to $8 million. You're also increasing the earnest money, and you're also turning Klein Sweeney and Associates loose on the design phase. So I don't think we're ready to appropriate any money for the renovation cost yet, because we don't, Bart has given us what he says is a high estimate. So once we turn him loose on the design phase, he'll come back and we can make that decision whether to take it out of fund balance, whether to take it out of some additional revenue that we might have. I think we would have a couple options, whether we would have some savings from some other projects that we have going on, which we do. So we may pull a piece from there. So it may not be that we take it all out of fund balance. We may take it from some other places.
So to be determined.
Yes. I mean, could we take it out of fund balance? The answer is yes, but I think we've got 3 or 4 other projects going right now that are under budget, so my recommendation may be to pull some savings from there and shift over to this. But
Thank you.
I think, just to compound on that too, one of the things when you turn Bart loose, he'll come back and we'll still have to bid some of these items and things like that to get a more firm cost.
Any other discussion or questions from the committee? Commissioner Piercy.
So this vote is not a vote to buy.
I'm gonna have Nick come up here, but I'm gonna say this. What you're doing is amending the current contract down to 8 million from 9.2 to 8. You're also increasing the earnest money amount and moving on to the next phase of the contract.
Yep.
There will still need to be another vote later on to finalize the vote. The other thing you're doing tonight is turning Bart loose so that I can pay Bart per his contract to go ahead and do the actual design phase and help us put some of this out to bid. Nick, did I say that?
Yeah, you did. Just to add, so we have a deadline for next Friday to elect whether to move to the next phase under the purchase contract, to the permitting phase. And that's why this is important to continue moving forward, so that the commission on Thursday can make a decision if it wants to continue moving forward towards the purchase. What I envision is if that happens, the remaining things will get shored up and the matter will come back through to the commission at some later date, probably in the late winter, early spring, for a final vote on whether we want to proceed to closing to purchase the property. Yep.
So,
Chairman Harris.
to my understanding, we got a $50,000 earnest check right now, which is non-refundable.
We've already paid that. We paid $50,000
So if we
in.
agree to do this, we're agreeing to the $8 million price, but then we got to turn around and write a $100,000 check.
For escrow.
Non-refundable.
But applicable to the purchase price, non-refundable, but it goes towards the $8 million end figure.
And that gives us 60 days,
It gives us another 90 days.
90 days.
Yep. And then there are 3 extensions if we want to exercise them. That gives us 3 30-day extensions if we're not ready to move yet or Bart's still working on numbers. If we exercise those extensions, this will come back before you again to say that we want to do that and exercise an extension. And that'll be another $100,000 that's non-refundable but applicable to the purchase price. So if you move forward tonight and it moves forward through the commission, you will have all in $150,000 less the cost that we've had to pay for the inspections, et cetera. But $150,000 all in that's non-refundable, but it is applicable to purchase price to move to the next phase.
Mr. Piercy.
So if it passes here, if this motion passes here tonight, passes this next Thursday night, full commission, does it leave us a door out if we decide we don't want it?
The answer is yes, but you will be out $150,000 plus the cost so far for the inspections.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion or questions from the committee? Hearing none, we're ready to call roll. Justin.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you, Bart.
Thank you.
All right. We're ready for item number 7, resolution for revenue bonds from August of 2025.
I can take this one, Chairman, if that's okay.
If you would, please.
So items 7 and 8 are going to be the exact same explanation that I'm fixing to give. So back in August of this year, 2025, there was a resolution passed. It was an inducement resolution that we brought from the Health and Education Facilities Board. That was sent to me, and that's what this commission voted on. It was in the minutes. However, in talking with the Health and Education Facilities Board's bond counsel, they would like a formal resolution from us that has that inducement resolution as an exhibit and that puts a clarifying resolution in there. So that's what items 7 and 8 are. We've already passed that, it's already in the minutes, but their bond counsel would like us to put that in a form of a resolution from us, and their inducement resolution is an exhibit, and that's the same for items 7 and 8. And as a reminder, we're just the pass-through. We are in no way issuing this debt. We're just a conduit for them to be able to issue it, for them to be able to issue their debt at a better rate.
So there's no change, no cost, no,
There is no change to anything from those original resolutions that were brought back in, I believe it was August and September of 2025 to the county commission. All this does is put it in the form of a resolution from our body and encompasses their resolution as an exhibit. I'm looking at both attorneys as I think they're both in agreement.
yeah. And Mr. Boland is here in case anybody has any question. If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion for item 7, the resolution concerning revenue bonds for Health and Education Facilities Board as approved by the County Commission in August 25 related to student housing at MTSU.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I hear and a second? Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin? Yes. Commissioner Johnson? Yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Now we're looking at item 8, which is a resolution, basically the very same thing for multifamily housing in Smyrna. Any discussion, or do I hear a motion?
So moved as presented.
I have a motion to approve this new contract. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. All right, that moves us to item number 9, Christiana Volunteer Fire Department lease, and I think Chief Farley's here. Welcome.
My name is Larry Farley. I'm the fire chief of the Rutherford County Fire Rescue Department. I bring before you tonight a lease from the county to lease our fire station at 2517 Midland Fossil Road, Bell Buckle, Tennessee. Christiana, we built the station out at Christiana, and they still want to continue to volunteer. And we had a building available, and I thought as long as they wanted to participate, we would let them. Also, that was going to help the people of Fossville out in the area to have a station out there that's people will be running out of it. They can actually have live-ins because it's got bedrooms and showers. So it's a 10-year lease for $10. They are to take care of all the utilities and insurance, and they are to carry $1 million worth of insurance on it per occurrence, and then $2 million aggregate attached to that. And of course, there's no taxes to pay, and they are responsible for all the repairs and maintenance and any improvements they want to make. And I think that covers the highlights, unless you got any questions.
Any questions from the committee?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Item 10, General Fund Budget Amendment for the Sheriff's Office.
Good evening, Steve Spence, Deputy Chief with the Sheriff's Office. First Amendment is to allocate funds awarded to the Rutherford County for the Tennessee Corrections Institute Financial Year 26 Training and Equipment Grant. The scope of the project includes CPR and AED training tools and supplies. This is a no-match grant with a period performance December the 1st of 25 to April the 30th of 2026. Requesting to accept the $11,525 and then place into our jail law enforcement supplies.
heard the request. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Second.
Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P.
Yes, motion carries. Okay, please continue.
Yes, sir. This amendment is to provide additional funds for overtime needed for employees covering vacant positions in Family Medical Leave Act in the jail, requesting $550,000 from our guards' salaries and placing into our overtime line item.
Okay, this is basically a transfer within your budget.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second, 2 seconds. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P.
Yes, motion carries.
I have a request. Prevention Coalition for Success was awarded $10,000 in their Tennessee Highway Safety Office grant that started October 1st of this year. They have offered to use this money to reimburse the county for overtime relating to our team education alcohol management program. We were requesting to accept this funding. If approved, request to sign the MOU with Prevention Coalition for Success to receive a reimbursement for the overtime used during the team activities.
I have a motion
Second.
and a couple of seconds. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, next item is Emergency Medical Services MOU with Vanderbilt University Medical Center. Mr. Gaither's on his way.
Good evening. Brian Gaither, Director of EMS. This is an agreement between us and Vanderbilt University Medical Center for their EMT students to do their clinical rides with us. There's no cost associated with this. It's an agreement that we have with the other programs across the state.
Any liability associated with it? Any liability associated?
There is some liability. Is there liability on us? That's probably a question for the attorney, but these programs are all required to carry their own malpractice insurance while they're in the program.
So we have ours, they have theirs, and everything is good.
Sir?
They have theirs, we have ours,
Yes, sir.
and everything is good. Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
And this is nothing that's uncommon. I mean, we have these agreements with multiple programs.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Second, Commissioner Johnson. Any further discussion? There's no money related to this, is there? All in favor of this signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right. Item 13, Health Department Grant Amendment. Michael, you going to do this one for us?
Yes. So every year, we have an agreement with the state for partial funding for our health department. As a reminder, we fund some employees there. They fund the majority of the employees. And every year, we have an amendment at this time of year, and what that does is they increase the contract amount with us based on raises and insurance rates. And so this year, that contract is increasing $140,100. So tonight, you'd be approving the amended grant contract.
And that's still no match for any of that.
And that's already in our budget. We anticipate that. So all of this is already budgeted, but we never know what the amended amount is going to be until usually this time of year, November, December, somewhere in that frame.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Second. And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P.
Yes, motion carries. Item 14, Health and Education Fund 141 Budget Amendment. Had to wait a little while today, so.
A little bit. Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Brian Runyon, CFO, Rutherford County Schools. We have one amendment tonight for Fund 141, which is our general purpose fund. This amendment increases budgeted FY 25-26 Fund 141 revenue and expenditures to recognize THSO on behalf payments. These payments are funds generated for students under THSO but not issued to the LEA. They are paid directly to the state for specific items such as state portion of charter school payments, education savings accounts, individualized education accounts, and juvenile detention centers. TDOE requires LEAs to report these payments in their financial statements and will provide the actual amounts at year end. This is a budget neutral amendment and does not provide any net gain or loss to the general purpose school budget. The amount of these budgeted entries is $4,017,240.
Any questions for Director?
So we're getting money and just paying it out, or if it's just shadow entry or something?
Yeah, so this recognizes revenue that never flows through us. So we don't actually pay this. This is, as what it sounds like, on behalf. The state is sending money to these charter schools on behalf of us, and they want us to record it on behalf of doing it. So we don't actually get this cash. It's never going to hit our bank account or anything. It's more of a book entry just to record the transaction that the state is doing between the state and charter schools.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. And second. Any further discussion? Call roll.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Urban,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, item 15, easement agreement with ATMOS Energy. And Mr. Damasi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Doug Damasi, Rutherford County Planning Director. I've got a couple items for you tonight. The first is a request for a temporary construction easement for county-owned property by ATMOS Energy. If you look at the attachment that's on your iPads, the very last page of that attachment will show the area in question. It's about 543 square feet of a temporary workspace easement. Temporary construction easement really is what this is. ATMOS is having to relocate a portion of their line due to the widening of Thompson Lane. This would be the area that they would place their boring machine as they bore under Siegel Road. There's not any compensation that's been offered as part of this, and one was not recommended during property management when this was considered. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. The term of the agreement, if you look in the contract, after we've all looked at this, they're asking for 18 months.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner Piercy, further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Doug, continue. I believe you got an MWRD Waterline easement.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This other easement that's being requested, again, this is for property along West Thompson Lane. That first property we just considered with ATMOS's easement is actually just a little bit to the west of where this one. That one was at the corner of Siegel Road and Thompson Lane. This is a little further to the east on Thompson Lane where the ball fields are, basically, is where you're looking at. Similar situation, Murfreesboro Water Resources Department is needing to relocate a portion of their water line due to the widening project. And when you look at the agreement that they have provided to the city, to the county regarding these easements, you'll see that there is a cost breakdown. However, they have requested that the county basically waive those fees, more of a donation type situation. This was discussed during property management when it was considered, and property management did recommend moving forward with the donation, not charging any for the easements. And again, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Discussion. And your motion is to approve it as it came to us. Okay. Hearing no further discussion, call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Urban, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Piercy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner P.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Item 17, remove Singer Road, Florence Road property. and I assume that's for where it's been listed for sale. Can you do this one?
Well, I'm just going to, this item, just as y'all know, as we have the committee process here, this item was forwarded to the Budget Committee from, I believe, the Property Management Committee for discussion. And so that, nobody has sent me anything on it, but since it was forwarded, I put it on the agenda. I believe that Property Management Committee voted to take it off the market when I went back and looked at the meeting. But other than that, it's sent on the forwarding request from that committee to us. And so that's why it's on your agenda tonight.
Any discussion from the committee?
Yeah.
Chairman Harris.
Mr. Chairman, I'm the one that asked for this property to be taken off, and I have several reasons. I had been looking at a private-public partnership for looking at a MRF on this. Of course, the city is not very happy about that and probably won't give us sewer. So that brings me to the next reason, is because the city of Murfreesboro believes that that area is going to be a high-end project for them, and that if that's the case, then that property is going to be worth more money than it is right now. And of course, we can always use that as a negotiating item with the city. We have other areas like Paul's, it's got to have a place. That's something that we're looking at, and we also have a grant to look, it's called a brownfield grant, and that's, we've okayed that to go through, so we really need to take this off until all this stuff has happened. We're also a growing county, and we need, I think when y'all seen this BOA today, we talked about dirt, and 20% of anything we built is dirt, and we'd already have it. So I think it's best interest of the county that we take this off the market and let this be a future endeavor for us. And I make the motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
2 seconds. Any further discussion? Commissioner
Mr.
Irving.
I voted to take it off the market in property management, and I'll take it off the market. I'll vote to take it off the market this evening. I do think this is one of the properties, though, along with several others, that need to be a part of the prioritization list that we need to put together in terms of not from necessarily the perspective of what do we do with it, do we build a building on it or whatever, but is this something that could be sold now, or, as Chairman Harris just pointed out, in the near future, in the distant future, whatever, if it's deemed to be, if we think it's going to be a lot more valuable in the future. But I think it needs to be part of that priority list in terms of the potential sale items. For example, Goldstein Building, Church Street, just a couple of them that come to mind. This is one of them that could help offset some of the other projects that have been, put out there in terms of potential building. And, so I'll vote for it this evening, but I do want it to, my view is it should be part of this prioritization list.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to address that. So one of the things is Commissioner Piercy and P and all of us have been here a while. When Mayor Ketchum was in office, we sold a property right across the street, which is now Whiskey Dick, which was the worst mistake I think we made. And because we always wanted a fire sale, and we didn't make any money out of it, we would have had future space for it. We would have been able to put a department over there. So I'm just looking into the future, and I really believe that land's going to be worth something, but I also think more other than money, I'm thinking it could be an asset on us in future growth.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call roll.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin? Yes. Commissioner Johnson? Yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Item 18, OIT Budget Amendment. Here's Mr. York.
Chairman.
Welcome.
Committee. This is a request to move $158,000 from data processing equipment, our 709 account, to 317 data processing services. And this is just to reflect the reflect the reality of kind of solving a few problems with, instead of with equipment, we're solving them with vendors. So it's just really to kind of line that up.
Okay, you've heard the request, Commissioner
This
Johnson.
is basically just a housekeeping measure, isn't it?
It is, all this nothing's coming out of the general fund. It's just kind of moving around to adjust to the demand.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
And second, Commissioner Gooch. Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris? Yes. Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Item 19, opioid board contract extensions and related budget amendments. Michael, you want to?
So on your iPads tonight, there's going to be a budget amendment for $16,470. And then there's also 3 advertising contracts. One is with Smart Light, and we've had contracts with all 3 of these places before, but this is renewing them for additional terms. So you'll have one with Smart Light, one with Social Indoor, and one with Lamar. I need to ask one caveat tonight, as we've shared all these with the county attorney's office. On the Lamar agreement, if y'all approve this tonight, I would request that y'all approve this subject to changes by the county attorney. He has requested 2 changes, and in the past, Lamar has always agreed to those changes. We have just not heard back from them by the meeting tonight. So if y'all wish to approve these 3 contracts in the budget amendment, if y'all could approve that subject to the county attorney changes.
Motion to approve, subject to the potential changes by the county attorney.
Okay, can we take all 3 of these together? Okay, I'm going to take that as all 3. Do I hear a second? Have a second, Commissioner Piercy. And this is advertisement that the opioid board has done in the past. They're basically renewing it. Any other discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris? Yes. Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson? Yes. Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion is approved. Item 20 is a budget calendar for fiscal year 2026-27. And I'm actually, Michael and I have discussed this a minute, and we want to take a vote on this after we look at it. You know, it could be that we could change something later, probably not, because this is pretty tight. But it will go in the minutes of us voting, and a copy will be sent to all the commissioners, so we don't have somebody say, hey, I didn't get this calendar. Well, they'll get it if we vote on it here. So anything you want to discuss, Michael?
Mm-hmm. So 2 things that I want to, as a reminder, and I know almost everyone on this committee, we've been through this at least 3 years, together as a committee. This really hasn't changed. But I will go ahead and reiterate some things. The first page on here is going to be the calendar, and that's going to start really next month when we send out all the budget forms to the department heads. And really, we've structured it the same as we've done the last 3 years. And again, you'll see we have private act dates and stuff like that. The one date at the bottom to go ahead and put in your calendars is going to be Monday, June 22nd at 9 a.m. So that is the second to last Monday in June. And then the most important for this committee on the second page is going to be the budget committee meeting schedule. And so as we look through that, I've structured it the same way we've done the last 3 years. Just as a reminder, as long as it works for everybody on this committee, we've done the Joint Health and Ed Committee. You'll see that on May 26th. I think that's worked pretty well for us. And then the next night, typically this committee will defer some of that stuff. And if you'll notice, the next night there on May 27th is when we'll review the budget, but a lot of times we've reviewed the schools again to take a second look at it since it's so large, and then we'll propose that for the annual publication. And then also, as you see there, May 12th, 19th, and 21st, that's going to be when all the departments come. And as you know, we kind of move those depending on if somebody's out sick or something like that. But any questions on the budget calendar and then the budget committee meeting schedule?
I got a question or observation, and you may have to help remind me. Last year, was there kind of a situation or a thought that we might needed another meeting to tie some things up, but we didn't have a date set?
last year we had an issue with, if you'll notice there on June 16th and 17th, we had an issue when Juneteenth was added as a holiday. And so we had an issue trying to fit that meeting in to discuss the public hearing because of the way the budget has to go out. And so this year it lines up pretty well where we can, if you'll notice there on the 16th, we'll have our public hearing. And then the very next night we discuss it. And last year we had a problem. I think we had to wait a day or two in between. That's the only conflict I remember having last year.
I just thought that between the public hearing and the commission meeting on the June 22nd, so to speak, that we have one meeting in between that. And that's something to bring in mind that we may have needed another meeting for whatever reason. And I didn't know if we wanted to pencil something in just to.
I don't remember that, but I will say the one issue, and me and Justin talked about this, looking at it on the 17th, we thought about doing something or moving that to the 18th. The problem is, depending on how many changes we have right there, that's a really tight time frame. Like, for example, if we were to pass an across-the-board raise or something like that, or something that took a lot of time, is to get those appropriations resolutions prepared for Monday morning. So you could always recess the 17th and come back on the 18th. That's kind of why we did it that way this year. We went ahead and met on the 17th, and that leaves you the 18th to recess and come back if you had to. If we do the 18th and come back on that Thursday or Friday, I don't know that we'll have enough time to get everything ready by Monday morning.
I guess you just have to work over.
Well, and we also looked at the other issue we had just in looking at this calendar. If we did the last Monday in June, which is typically what we do, that only gives us one day if something doesn't pass.
Yeah, I understand.
And so
I think we'll be okay. Just something was making me.
Well,
think
we can pencil, if you'd like, we can pencil something on the 18th, but typically what I've seen in the past is if on the 17th we can't get a tax levy appropriation resolution out, we could always recess. And I checked, we can leave the 18th open penciled in your calendars if we had to recess. We could do that, would be an option.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. And I was just joking about you working over.
Okay, you've heard the discussion on our budget calendar. Any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the calendar. Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, solid waste fund budget amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if it's exactly the best way to plug this into this process, but as part of the budget process, if we could, build on, hopefully by then we've got a prioritization list and things along those lines, some sense of operational expenses, et cetera. I'm wondering if we could build in, without slowing down the budget process at all, some form of, what do you think your department's going to look like? Or what are going to be the needs over the next X period of time? In other words, beyond the simple one-year budget that we put together, what's the best way to put it in to begin to formalize the process a little bit?
Well, let me step in on that for just a second. I know, for instance, in the past, our ambulance department has given us like a 5-year plan. And personally, I would rather see these come out of our committees that oversee the particular departments. For instance, Public Works would be working with building codes and engineering, if they see something they need to expand, or same thing with codes. But public safety, of course, they oversee ambulance, fire, sheriff's department. They can give recommendations out of those committees. And the directors of those are elected officials over those departments, should be giving us some updates. But Michael, you want to jump in too, please?
Well, that is piggybacking. That was kind of along the lines of what I was going to say. And the second option is you could do is you could request the mayor's office when they present, when the mayor presents his recommendation for the budget, he could add on, what his projections is as part of that presentation, and what does that look like for the growth of his projection. I think you could kind of piggyback on that if that's what you want to do. You could make that request.
I'm not trying to slow down the budget process at all. I'm not trying to create an enormous amount of additional work, but I do think it kind of makes sense at that point to build that in somehow in terms of, so that we have not just a one-year snapshot in voting on a budget for the coming year, but also over the next 2 or 3 or 4 years. So at least we can anticipate what's coming down the pike.
Well, I don't disagree with that at all. As a matter of fact, I think it would be a good idea. And that ties in, again, to what you're wanting to do as far as looking at facilities that we may need to construct in the future, for planning purposes. So, I think it's a good idea, and it's always good to ask those questions out of these departments.
Thank you.
Matt, come on up. Again, we're looking at solid waste fund budget amendments. Item 21.
Thank you. I am Matt Davis, your interim solid waste director. We have started our Class 3 remediation project on the Old County landfill, and basically finding that our equipment rental budget is going to run low very soon. We're asking to move $80,000 so that we would have funds to continue the rentals that we have through the rest of the fiscal year.
We saw this the other night in Public Works.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Matt on this equipment rental? He's basically having to do work that's required by the state on our facility there. Have a motion to approve.
Second.
A second. Any further discussion or questions for Matt? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Item 22, recycling rebate grant and related budget amendment. Matt?
Thank you. We applied for the recycling rebate grant from TDEC, and we were granted what we asked for was $49,972. And TDEC offered an additional $40,453 if the county will match that. Michael worked with me to show where we would come with the funds from to back our part of that. We intend to use the money for a recycling education program in the schools to help increase their level of single-stream recycling.
And this is coming out of his assigned fund balance.
The match portion is, as a reminder, we did approve this 2 months ago. It did get approved, and then TDEC had some extra money, and so they, as Matt said, they gave us an extra $40,000. So that's what you're seeing tonight is a revised award letter that's on your iPad, so that they're now going to give us $90,426, and then that raised our match. We had a 50% match on this, and so that match would come out of his assigned fund balance.
Any questions? Have a motion to approve. Need a second? Any further discussion? Call roll, please.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris?
Yes.
Commissioner Irvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Matt. That brings us down to other business, and yes, I want to bring up something. December the 16th, we have a planned meeting, a joint meeting with the Health and Ed here at 5:30. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that. That'll be our next, the 16th. What, that's a Thursday? I'm not sure what day of the week.
I believe that's a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
And it's 5:30 in here. We did send out the meeting just so the committee knows, we did send out the meeting advertisement so that if this committee wants to vote that night, you can. So the way we anticipated that happening was very similar to where we do our joint meeting during the budget time. Not saying that you have to vote on anything, but we did make it to where we advertised it to where if this committee wished to take any action that night, then you could.
And Commissioner Irvin, you'll be glad to hear this basically falls into what you've been asking us to do as far as what the school's looking at, their future plans and recommendations that they're getting on zoning. Hopefully I've stated that correctly, but.
I applaud this, getting together, the two committees together, so we can be looking at some of this. And I would encourage, I think they've already committed to providing all the materials, like at least a week or so in advance, so we have a chance to look at that. So that would be great. I think they've already committed to that, but.
Well, I can't speak to that, but anyway, I see Brian nodding back there, so I'm assuming that's right. The last thing that I want to mention is Michael's wife makes delicious cookies, and thank you. That's concluded our business unless someone else has something. If not, we're adjourned.